Hello, welcome to the RT Olympics podcast. Mikey Stafford here. And on the eighth day, they rested after seven medals in 7 days. We're medalists on one day. It's a shock. It's a shock. It's shocking. Sports Ireland should be put in front of the Oireachtas. What are we doing not winning the medal today? Anyway, gives us a chance to reflect a little bit and talk to an actual Olympian. I'm delighted to say Tom Barr is joining us from the Olympic Village. How are you, Tom?
I'm all good. I'm all good. Yeah, so a little bit disappointed with the our result from the other night, but I'm in full on spectator mode now at the moment. So enjoying all of the other side of what the Olympics has to offer.
Yes, yes, and we will get to that too because we mere mortals are always very, very interested in life in the Olympic Village. Um, but yeah, your own performance, the 400 meter mixed relay, you've kind of been kind of after a few David and Goliath performances this year, which had you at the top of the world rankings and kind of one of the you were a marked team coming in,
For
and
sure.
as your teammate Chris O'Donnell said, he said, look. Normally we run above what we look like on paper, and he said today we probably ran as we appear on paper, and it just wasn't enough. So if you agree with Chris, I suppose you don't really have any regrets looking back on it.
No, I don't think we have any regrets because when we look back over the race like that, it was exactly what we would have promised that we would be able to do. When we look back at the race, there was nowhere where you could say anything went wrong. We just didn't punch any higher than we probably were expected to do, which often we do as a team.
Mm.
And I think coming off of a lot of success this year with that mixed 4x4 relay team, having qualified and got a bronze medal from the World Relay Championships all the way back in the end of April or early May, up as far as becoming European champions, and taking down quite a strong Dutch team in the meantime. We were probably confident going into it that we might sneak into a final. So we were a little bit disappointed because that was where we were aiming to get to. And I think that the team that we had was definitely capable of doing that. But there was a world record and 7 or 8 national records set in the heats that were astonishing. So at least, and even when we watched the final there the other night, at least we knew that even if we ran, better than we ever have, we still wouldn't have been within a shout of medals. I don't think so. That made it a lot easier to kind of bear that we needed to be above and beyond anywhere we've ever been, which was probably going to be a stretch too far.
Yeah, I'm curious because you were in the second semi, and obviously the Americans went out and absolutely pulverized the world record in the first one. Are you aware of that? And if you are aware of it, what if anything does it do to your approach or your mindset?
So generally there'll be a TV. So there was it in the call room, and generally before we go out on the track, we actually have a good view either of the track, so we can see the race going on ahead of us, or we're in the call room and we see it on the TV. But they actually brought us from the call room through the belly of the stadium, basically, to bring us out towards the entrance of the track as the race was finishing up. So we actually had no idea what we were coming out to. We were just all introduced as our team, and we didn't see or take any notice of what had happened in the first heat, so we didn't know of all of the craziness that had happened. We did see that the American team were extremely happy, so we're like, okay, they've probably run very well and they've probably gotten through to the final. But it didn't feed into any of our race plan strategies. Didn't change anything. Would it, like normally for the 400 hurdles, I'll always keep an eye on the heats that are going ahead of me because I'm kind of like, okay, sometimes it'll give me a boost of confidence, and I'm like, okay, not everyone is running mad fast. So that mean, and that will drive me on because it'll mean, okay, I I'm in with a good shout here of making a semi final or a final or whatever it is. The other side of that then sometimes is when you see people run really fast times, you're like, okay, the track is fast today. I need to be on my game. I know what I have to go and do, and it kind of it settles you down and also heightens that bit of focus. So that's, well, maybe that's just me taking
Mm.
that's my approach to it anyway. But yeah, we had no idea of what was going on. We just went out there to kind of run our own race as such.
Yeah. And you ran it well, as you said. You can have no complaints. I'm just wondering, the stadium, the track, it looks incredible on TV, and a few people coming off have kind of commented on what it is like. It seems like it's I think you a veteran of three Olympics. Okay, one of them was crowdless, but it seems to be a pretty special stadium to run in, is it?
Yeah, it is, and it's definitely the best crowd that I've ever witnessed for an Olympics. It's unbelievable. This that I actually was in watching earlier on today as well, and the noise in the stadium is incredible. There's even a part of it where, because it was when you're very much in the performance side of things, when you're coming out to race, sometimes it's hard to actually appreciate and take in the size of the crowd, the magnitude of it, and everything, because it can actually distract and take away from what you're about to go and do. So on the night of the relay, I probably didn't take it in as much as I would have liked, maybe. But it is in an absolutely incredible stadium. What I will say is, actually, it doesn't feel, when you're on the track, it doesn't feel like it's that intrusive, or it doesn't feel that powerful, because I think the stadium and the seating is actually set back quite far away from the track. So in some stadiums, it's much more intimate. A lot of the European championships that I've been at, the crowd is
Mm.
literally on lane 8. And I find that's really, like, that gives me huge energy. Whereas when it was set back that little bit further, it kind of it maybe just numbed it or dulled it down that little bit. But when I was in there this morning for the morning session, it was absolutely electric. And what was even really nice to see was, after the French athletes, any of the Irish athletes that were coming up were getting the biggest cheer.
Yeah, oh, you could hear that when Sophie Becker was introduced this morning. The it sounded like the place nearly shook. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. And I think that the Irish are always so good, having been to so many championships, we're so good at getting behind our own. There are so many Irish flags, and we're not afraid to shout and make noise when our little nation is out on track, and that's amazing. And that does, I definitely, as an athlete, fed off of that and feed off of that. And it's really hard not to, when you're standing in front of the blocks, getting ready to go out and do something that essentially you're being trusted with, with the crest and with the
Mm.
with the Irish colours. To know that you have that support is massive.
Yeah, it's good that the Irish can be heard even though they're set back a bit. I mean, that's interesting because obviously it's a soccer and it's a rugby stadium, and they've obviously taken seats out to put in the track. I would have thought, for ticket sales, etc., they would have taken out the bare minimum of seats, but it sounds like they've actually taken out more than maybe they had to fit in the track, which is kind of it's interesting that they've not tried to cram in as many people as possible. I guess there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but it's they could do it probably even more seats, because it is a sellout crowd, or it is a sellout stadium nearly every
Yeah.
day. But no, it is. It's amazing, and it's a purple track, which I've never run on or seen, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I'm easily impressed.
I don't know. I think we all were, and it's amazing how quickly you become used to it. Like you're watching athletics for 3 days, you're like, yeah, the track's purple. What color did it used to be? I can't even remember. It's just you get
Exactly.
used
Yeah.
to it so
Yeah.
quickly. Um, Straight after the race, you were kind of you were quite reflective, I suppose. And I know Simone Biles is given out to journalists for asking athletes what their plans are in the future as soon as they've won a medal or finished competing at the athletics or in their event. You were kind of like, I'm coming to terms with the fact that this is probably my last Olympics. I'm going to guess now, a few days afterwards that I'm going to put it, I'm going to guess that you mightn't be quite as certain of that as you were straight after the race.
Yeah, it's I look, yeah, it's no secret. Like, I'm 32 now, and trying to keep the body in one piece is difficult. I'm definitely not, like, the splits that I've run this year in the relay. The hurdles didn't quite come together. Technically, it didn't quite come together, but we knew there was a big time in me there, and that, sort of came out in my race in Poland, where I was only 0.09 of a second off qualifying for the Olympics in the hurdles by standard.
Mm.
So, like, I'm still hitting markers that I was hitting eight odd years ago. To the point that I'm kind of thinking, will I go for another year, go for another 2 years? I definitely think that it's my last Olympics. I don't think I could mentally set myself up to really go at it for another 4 year cycle. I'm not sure what I'll do. I'm gonna give myself a bit of time to process,
Mm.
everything that's happened this year, weigh up the pros and cons, about continuing going forward. I would love to go to World Championships in Tokyo next year. That'd be amazing. And I do feel like I am still in good shape. The other side of it is then, it is taking me that little bit more effort to stay in one piece and to keep the body taken over, and compared to when I was probably made of rubber when I was back in, my early 20s. But yeah, I don't know. I'll wait and see. But I was quite emotional coming off the track in the Stade de France on, was it Saturday night? I'm getting all mixed up with my days.
Yeah.
Because the realization was setting in that it's definitely the last time I'll be walking off an Olympic track, and it could be the last time I walk off a track ever if I decide to finish up my career after that race. So I will miss it if I do step away. And that was the big thing, was athletics is a huge part of my life and has been for a long time, and that if that is kind of the end, I was kind of like, I am going to miss it, but I'll give myself a little bit of time to process and see where we go from here.
Yeah, I think it's probably an easier realization or acceptance to make this last Olympics then it's the end of athletics, because that raises some very big questions for you, which you probably don't want to be thinking about right now after you've just, you want to probably enjoy the next while rather than asking yourself questions about what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. And I'm like, generally I'm quite good at kind of switching on and off when I have to, like that. So at the moment I'm in full on supporter and spectator mode, and enjoying, like, we're out here now I'm out here now for another couple of days, so I'm going to enjoy what I can of of Paris, of all the different events. I'm going to go and watch the athletics and support the rest of the team, because how often do you get a chance not only to run in an Olympics, but the next best thing is to go and spectate and watch and get involved with the crowd and feed off that energy as well, which is all a part of it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to make the best of it.
Get your teammates in a second, but I guess people, younger listeners may not be aware just how close you came to an Olympic medal in Rio. You were very narrowly beaten into fourth place in the 400 meters final, and the 400 meters hurdles final, and that event is one of the events that in the last half a decade or whatever has just become utterly turbocharged to the point where
Completely.
what they are doing. So I'm just wondering what you thought. Like, obviously there was a lot of people kind of holding back today, but the usual suspects, Carson Borholm and Rai Benjamin and Dos Santos, like these guys, like you must be looking like these are guys, you compete against, you still compete against. And I'm just wondering what you think of what they're doing, because to people like me, it's insanity. And the women's 400 meters hurdles as well. It's just the
Yeah.
leaps it's made in the last few years are just nuts.
Yeah, the 400 hurdles has gone to a completely different stratosphere. Like, it was going from a point whereby it was in a bit of a lull. Like when I was in 2016 in Rio, the sport was kind of at a little bit of a lull. It was almost at the point of being dropped off of the Diamond League schedule. And then along comes Karsten Warholm, who completely injected a whole different way of running the race, and it has started, traditionally the 400 hurdles was kind of a technical and endurance based event. Now it's technical and speed based, so it's literally gun to tape. If you ever watched some of Warholm's earlier races, he goes very hard from the very start, and sometimes would peter out in the last 100. But now he's lost that petering out, and a lot of other athletes are doing the same. And I think we're really in like a sort of a golden period of having three guys that are ready to smash world records. Like I remember watching. So I got knocked out of the in the semifinals in Tokyo, and I remember watching the final, thinking, I wanted to be there. I felt like I was starting to bridge that gap towards the medals again. And then out comes a 45.9 second 400-meter hurdles, which I thought I would never, ever see pop up on the clock. And it's absolutely astonishing. Even for me within the sport, my jaw was on the floor and I was thinking, how am I going to, I can't bridge that gap.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. But it's really, like I kind of came through a couple of different phases of the sport, because I've been at kind of a sort of an international senior level now for 4 Olympic cycles essentially. Like I just missed out on London, and it's amazing to see where the event has come from and now where it's gone to. It's astonishing, and to be honest, it's been a pleasure and a privilege to be a part, to be involved in it. Now, I'm not going to say I was a part of any of those record-breaking performances, but yeah, and even the final, I think this year is wide open between the three heavy hitters of Warholm, Dos Santos, and Benjamin.
Oh yeah, it's one circled in the diary. Okay, so to your relay teammates then, who are obviously out today. Sophie Becker a little bit disappointed with her run. She finished sixth in her heat. She's got a repêchage, which is a new development. And Charlie
Yeah,
Mosley set a PB and was, would have gone through as one of the fastest three in some of the other heats. That's just the luck of the draw, I guess. And
yeah,
then Rhasidat, who's on another, she's kind of on another kind of scale really to the two girls I think they hit it mid. She won her heat slowing down. Looks like
yeah.
she's practicing slowing down. It's not
On
something she
cruise
naturally
control.
wants to do.
Yeah.
So like I think what did you make of it today?
Yeah, I think, like, to be honest, it kind of went almost as maybe expected for the three girls. I think Rashida looked so controlled, so measured, and just completely in cruise control. And it's amazing to watch. And I think that if she can maintain that kind of form, that kind of speed, and like even around the village, she's in good form. She's not that nervous. She's ready to go. Well, from what I'm getting from her
Mm.
anyway. But it was amazing to watch, and I can't wait to see how she progresses now through the rounds. Um, I think Sophie and Charlene did very well. I think where um having the repêchage, maybe, say for in Charlene's case, if there was fastest losers, she probably would be through. But now the repêchage makes it very difficult, because you have to win your heat, basically. And then there's two fastest loser spots outside of that. So it does make it very difficult. There's already an extra run now in their legs. So it makes progressing any further beyond the repechage that little bit more difficult. I think Sophie was phenomenally strong. She attacked the race really, really well in that first 250, 300 meters. Or first 200 anyway. I think
Mm.
she was in the lead, if
She
not
was, yeah,
second.
I think,
Yeah,
yeah.
up to about 250 meters, and then just started to maybe a little bit of fatigue or maybe a drop in concentration. She said in her interviews that she was a little bit disappointed, but I think she's the kind of athlete that a disappointment like that isn't going to be a bad thing. I think she's going to turn that into a positive for tomorrow's race and say, okay, well, here's the positives from that race. If I can do that and just add on that second half, I think that she could be on for a very good time, a PB at the very least, which would be fantastic because she's had an amazing season so far. And it'd be nice to see, a PB pop up as beside her name.
Yeah. Um, do you think Rashida can win a medal?
I think it's absolutely on the table. Look, getting to a final, first of all, is the big thing.
Yeah. But you can see for the
That's all
heats,
that
like the levels that are there are phenomenal.
it's phenomenal. Like, there's times dropping there that that you do not expect in the
Mm.
heats of a championships. People are on their game. So I think it's probably, before, if you were to say 3, 4, 5 months ago, it nearly would have been, a dead cert. Like, you'd probably put money on it. But at the moment, the way the times are uh popping out, I think it's probably going to be that little bit more difficult to get up into the medals 100%. But look, it's the Olympic Games, and so it's not easy. Medals aren't easy come by, and the 400 as well, and women's in particular, is stacked at the moment. It's really strong, but getting to the final is the big job. That's the hardest part. Once you get to the final, absolutely anything can happen because on the day, it's all about who has, the least amount of fatigue in the legs, who's mentally up and ready to get going. There's so many different factors that can feed into how an athlete is feeling physically or mentally on any given day that it's anyone's guess what way it can go. And I think that Rashida probably feels like maybe she has some unfinished business from Europeans in Rome as well. And I think she's really carrying that through this championships. And I can't wait to see where she goes because I do think she's in with a very good shout for a medal. But
Mm.
I would hate to be kind of I don't like putting medals around people's necks before they run. But she's in with a very good shout
Yeah.
at a very young age, which is amazing.
Yeah, the repêchage isn't something she needs to deal with, but I'm wondering what's your take on the repêchage system? Because obviously it's new to athletics,
Yeah,
and I think for some events, maybe I don't know, for some events maybe it's okay, but it seems to me 400-meter sprints is it's gut busting,
it
and then you
is. It's
factor
tough.
in
Yeah,
the relays for Charlene and Sophie. It's like they have to weigh up now any kind of like personal ambition versus the
yeah,
team, which was always something they had to factor in, but now you're almost sinking the relay hopes if you do the repechage, or so it seems to me. Because how can you run that many 400-meter races in 4 or 5 days?
yeah.
It doesn't seem possible to me.
It's extremely tough on the body. That's for sure. I I don't think it works, to be honest. Look, I personally don't like it. Because what you're doing, and I'm always, even with the European Championships, giving a bye for the top 12 athletes to go straight into the semi-finals. I
Mm.
didn't even like that. Even when I was one of the athletes at different stages where I got a bye, I think you come to a championships, everyone is on a clean sheet. Everyone, it should be fair. So what you're doing, by in the European, say, by removing 12 athletes, they're fresher going into a semi-final or a final. Now I know it's because they want to allow them to double up in different events, or if they have relays, they're keeping the top athletes fresh, basically for publicity for the sport, and I can understand that. But I just don't think it's fair for the athletes. And this repechage is kind of, a, I feel like it's similar to that. You're asking athletes who might struggle anyway to get out of the heats and into a semi-final, and are maybe on the cusp of challenging for a final. You're kind of wiping them out of that, really, because there's an extra run in their legs. And it's just that it's not 100% fair. And even today, when we were watching the men's 400-meter repechage, there were some races with 4 or 5 athletes. Actually, most of the heats only had between 4 and 6 athletes, and I just don't think it looks great to have, a repechage round where you're not filling the track. I think what they wanted to do was get people racing more, make it that little bit more exciting. But I think it didn't really come off today for the men in particular, for the men's 400. But yeah, we'll wait and see how it goes for the rest of the championships. But I'm not sold on it yet. I might change my mind. I'm very open to it, but
Mm.
I at the moment I'm not sold on it.
Right. Speaking of doubling up, the 100 meters final last night was historic. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
Noah Lyles, for anyone living under a rock, Noah Lyles beat Kishan Thompson by 0.0005 of a second.
yeah.
5 thousandths of a second. Um, which is, sorry, I added too many zeros there, 0.005 of a second. I don't need to dramatize this. It's already impressive. What did you think watching it, Tom, as a sprinter?
I didn't think Noah had gotten it, to be honest. And it was interesting to see that, like, it came down to the photo finish, and even to see the depth within the race itself, how close everybody was coming across the
Everyone
line.
under 10 seconds.
Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. They're the kind of races that make a championship like this really exciting. So yeah, look, it's unbelievable. And when you look at how small the margins are in the hundreds in particular, like, I'm glad I was, that I'm a 400-meter runner, 400 hurdler, because at least if you do make one little small mess up out of the blocks or something, you have a bit of time to claw it back. There's no room for error in the hundreds, and that's what I think really adds to the pizzazz of it. Is that it's exciting from gun to tape. And also, I think, aren't all the studies saying that our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter? So a race under 10 seconds is probably good for us.
I think
We're not
it
going to swipe straight past it.
yeah, we might just be able to not look at our phones for the duration of the race.
Yeah,
Just fill people in on the rest of today. Daniel Coyle and Shane Sweeten are into show jumping final tomorrow, and as two of the fastest qualifiers, so they're very much on course for to contend for a medal. Finn Lynch is into a medal race tomorrow, and obviously I'll be chatting to Eric Donovan now shortly about Kellie Harrington's gold medal fight tomorrow. There's a lot of glory in the Irish section of the village, Tom. So, is it non-stop partying?
no, it's very quiet, very much a performance environment here. It's funny. Uh, like, I don't. I've never seen so much success. Like isn't it? It's our biggest medal haul ever
Yeah,
from a
seven
from
is
a
it was
Olympics
London before
already.
this was six. Yeah.
Yeah, already, and we're only halfway through, really.
Mm.
So it's absolutely amazing, and but within the village, it is very much kind of like I met Daniel down in the lobby of our apartment building, like the day after he had won his medal, or maybe even that evening, and he just had it, around his neck or in his pocket. So I had a quick look at it, and it was very much just kind of a passing chat of, Jesus, well done. Some race, because he obviously then had to go and get ready for his second race. But yeah, it's mad how that kind of just becomes the norm. It's like, oh, class, another medal, brilliant, and then you're focused then on your own thing, or you're focused on where is the performance going next.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't say it's non-stop partying at the moment, but I'm sure we'll get a chance to celebrate that maybe as athletes are finishing up or at the closing ceremony.
I had this lovely idea. I just have this picture. I'd say Daniel now when he lets loose, I'd say he's ahead the ball. I just get that impression. I can imagine Paul Donovan sipping on a beer while training in his rowing machine. That's just the picture I had in my head. So it's not that, no.
Not at the moment, anyway. Not that I've seen, unless that's what's going on behind closed doors.
Great. Well, look, every on this podcast every day, I try to give people an interesting fact about the Olympics. So, in honor of Noah Lyles, who's going to look to double up with the 200 meters, and he's a roaring favorite to do that. Only 9 men have done that in the history of the Olympics, and no one not called Usain Bolt has done it since Carl Lewis in 1984. But there's a guy called Ralph Craig, an American. He did it in 1912. Fair play to him. Very good in Stockholm. That was one interesting thing about him. The other thing was that 36 years later, he returned to the Olympics. He was an alternate or sub on the US yachting team. Unfortunately, he
No
did.
way.
Yeah, he didn't get to compete because obviously no one on the sailing team got injured. But he got to carry the flag. He was 59 years of age. So 36 years after after he won back, he won the double 100 meters, 200 meters. He came back as a sailor. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
That is some record. That is some
So you
record.
could be
Well,
back yet, Tom. You could be
I hope
back.
you're not expecting me to do that.
Get your deck shoes on, man. You could make it yet.
Yeah,
Listen, Tom, it's great chatting to you. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and I'll be
no
chatting
bother.
to Eric Donovan next. We are chatting to Eric Donovan now, looking ahead to tomorrow's lightweight boxing final between Kellie Harrington and Wenlu Yang of China. But before we talk boxing, Eric, we could see you're outside the Stade de France. I think you got to see another Irish medal contender in action this morning.
Yeah, I did. I got to see Rhasidat Adeleke, and she was absolutely superb in her heat. Just coming in on a canter, she slowed down. She put the brakes on. There's absolutely no doubt about that. She took off like a train, and after about 300 meters, she just started to kind of pull back, pull the reins a bit. And I tell you, it's very, very exciting for Irish sport, for athletics. I think she's going to be really up there in the mix for medal at the end on the final day.
Yeah, there's no doubt she slowed up a bit, Eric, but I just thought her glances to the left and right to make sure there was nobody with her. I thought they were a bit obvious. I think maybe you or some of the boxing team could have worked with her on her neck movements or head movements just to make that a little bit more subtle. What do you think?
Yeah, well, look, listen, I didn't notice that, to be honest with you, but I suppose the experts and the trained eyes will obviously see that. Like, I'd probably spot those little nuances in the boxing ring, but not on the track. But she looked to me, she looked absolutely superb to me, and she looked to be slowing down in the final stretch. So, like, that there is just incredible to win so comfortably. Um, is very, very exciting for us. So I think we can dare to dream, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, let's dream about tomorrow night now. Kellie Harrington going into the ring in Roland Garros, a change of venue, going to a bigger venue, obviously at the tennis venue. She's going in against Wenlu Yang, who came in here as the number 1 seed, Eric, but A lot of people were describing Kellie's semi-final against Beatrice Soares as the de facto final. Is that now looking maybe a little bit premature, considering how good Yang has looked thus far?
Yeah, I think it would be dangerous to kind of underestimate Yang. She's an incredible opponent. In fact, she's ranked #1, says a hell of a lot. She beat Kellie in 2016 in the World Final. And you know, she was very hot around that time. She was top class. She was world champion. But she went off the radar in 2018 to 2023, and she didn't really. I don't know why, but she only had 2 fights, one in 2020 and one in 2022. But over that 5 years, she's been inactive. I don't know if she was inactive. She didn't have any fights, and there's not a lot like, I don't know where she went, what she did, but she burst back onto the scene in 2023, and she won a bronze at the Worlds, and she won gold in the Asian Games, and now she's ranked 1 coming in here to the Olympic Games. So she's back with a bang, and she's going to be a difficult opponent. She's 5'8", she's the southpaw, so she's going to present a challenge. Now she beat Kellie before, but that was in 2016, and that was Kellie's first major medal as an elite level athlete. Kellie went on a winning streak, a winning spree of winning major medals since then. Because over the last 8 years, Kellie has won, world golds, Olympic golds, European golds, European Games golds, just 8 major medals, 9 major medals now she has. And she's a different fighter now. Kellie Harrington is a completely different fighter. But if you look at Yang Wenlu's record, she's been beat by the likes of Beatrice Ferreira, Sudaporn Sissondi from Thailand, Sky Nicholson from Australia, and these are all opponents that Kellie Harrington beat. Okay, so that says, that's a good thing for us. That's a very good thing. But it's the Olympic final. She's going to be backing herself. Everybody is. You don't get there by chance. It's there on merit and there on absolute ability. And but the way Kellie's boxing at the moment, and she's so close to becoming a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, hard to back against her. Really is. She's in the form of her life, to be honest with you, and her mindset seems to be absolutely exactly where you want it to be. Focused, controlled, composed, and I expect her to deliver a good performance tomorrow and become Ireland's first ever 2-time Olympic boxing champion. So that'll be incredible.
Absolutely. They say styles make fights. Eric, what can we expect from Yang? Because obviously, because Kellie is, she's a switch hitter. She's very, very stylish, and especially in her third rounds in her last 2 fights, she just seemed to kind of be turning it on and really kind of putting on a bit of a show. Is Yang a similar kind of fighter, or is she an aggressive fighter? How does she approach fights?
Well, she's a tall, counter-punching fighter. She likes it at long distance. She's southpaw. She uses her reach. She uses her distance and her strengths to her advantage. She utilizes them. She's not a come forward, that all-out attacking fighter. But look, I mean, she's a winner. She's a champion. She's a world champion, and she's in the Olympic final now. So, when you get to that level, you do have a plan A, plan B, plan C, if things don't work out. But we know that Kellie has so many plans and so many kind of strategies in her locker, because she has everything, all the answers that her opponents to her opponent's questions. Like Ferreira came and tried everything, absolutely everything, but no matter what she tried, Kellie had the answer. Messiano, the Italian, got herself into superb shape. Like, you could see the muscles on her, the physique on her. She tried everything, but Kellie had the answer to all of her questions. And I just think that Kellie Harrington may have the answers as well to Yang's questions, but it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very, very hard. It's not going to be an easy fight. And let's just hope that she can do it. One more big performance from Kellie Harrington, 9 minutes, and to put herself into a very special place, a prestigious place of becoming Ireland's first ever 2-time Olympic boxing champion. That would be incredible.
Absolutely. And the venue it's a change. You've been yourself and Hugh have been camped up in the Paris Nord arena for the last week or so, but the final's taking place in Roland Garros, the tennis venue, very famous tennis venue. Will that have any affect, do you think, boxers? Are they creatures of habit, especially amateur boxers? Tournaments tend to take place in the one venue from start to finish. Is a change of venue something that could be a factor?
No, not necessarily. No. You know, it's a boxing ring. It doesn't matter where it is. You know, Kelly would have been sparring with world medalists, Olympic medalists in boxing clubs around Ireland and around Eastern Europe and around the world, in training camps. And you know, a lot of the hard work goes on away from the lights. You know what I mean? When nobody's watching. So like, it's just a boxing ring. It's going to be in a very amazing place, Roland Garros. It's going to be an incredible place, incredible venue. But I think the likes of Kellie Harrington and these top class boxers, they relish these opportunities because they've been doing this over and over and over for years when nobody's watching. It kind of like it gives them a little uh, and kind of an added incentive to shine and to showcase your skills in front of the world, because they relish this. Because we know that boxing, you know, boxers become household names every 4 years. You know what I mean? Like, people wake up to boxing and boxing becomes center stage on the Olympic Games. But it's every other year outside of the Olympic Games. There's not a whole lot of, not the same level of exposure anyway. So, you know, boxers at Kelly's level and major medal winners, they will relish this opportunity. And I think Kelly, so experienced, vastly experienced, 34 years of age, you know what I mean? World champion, Olympic champion, European, all these, like, you know, I don't think she's going to be phased. If anything, she will be her performance will be enhanced, because she's she's taken to performing on the big stage now like a duck to water. It's just it's incredible to watch, and it's enjoyed to watch her. Like, she really is producing some special stuff.
Yeah, I know. And look, whether it's gold or silver medal, the fact it's, you know, to medal at back-to-back Olympics, it will be an incredible achievement. But just finally, Eric, I just wonder, like, how do you think the AIBA will kind of, and Team Ireland will look at this? Because, you know, it's boxing has been for the last week, you know, 3, 4 Olympics, we've been kind of spoiled that, you know, with the medal haul. But while Ireland have achieved, you know, their biggest medal haul ever at these games now with 7 medals, it's one in boxing. And, you know, from the last 3 Olympics, I think we've had 1 boxing medal from the male side of the team. Do you think is it a concern, do you think, for Irish boxing, that while we do have a superstar in Kelly, maybe below that, for a variety of reasons, we haven't quite delivered on what might have been expected?
Well, if you look at you know, you're talking about Beijing, London, Rio, Tokyo, and now Paris. In the last 5 Olympic Games, we have won 4, 3, 7, 9, 10 medals. Like, that's an incredible achievement in 5 Olympic Games, when you think that there's only been, I think, 9 won from the beginning to, you know, for the last whatever. How many? I don't know the maths on that, but so I think the record speaks for itself. But I do also agree and accept that we expected a bit more from this team of 10 fighters, our largest ever team to come out here to an Olympic Games. But there was a couple of things that, like, what, you know, it was a young team, you know, some really good performances, just not enough on the day because they're up against very experienced opposition. Couple of under par performances, but like, they'll be bitterly disappointed in that. And then there was 1 or 2 very dubious decisions that, like, you know, it's just out of our control, and there's not much you can do about that. Sometimes when people think about boxing, like, and because we are so successful, the people think we qualified 10 boxers or we're going to get several medals. Like, it's very difficult out here. You're talking about the best of the best. But I did think that we'd get at least 2. I thought we'd get at least 2, and maybe if there was 3, it'd be a bonus, you know. But look, I think now a saving grace for us is that Kelly is in the final, and if she can get another gold medal, I think that will be incredible, because there's only ever been 3 gold medals in the Olympic boxing, and that's over 100 years. And Kelly has one of them, and now she's a chance to become a 2-time Olympic champion. So look, I think that will be a really good consolation prize for us. But obviously, she's so close now, and I think her legacy has been cemented anyway. Definitely one of our best ever, unique and just original in her own right. But the fact that she's so close, I'd love to see her get over the line. You know, it's there, touching distance.
as we all would. But look, Eric will be on co-commentary with Hugh on Tuesday night at Roland Garros. You can watch that on RTE2, and you can follow it on the RTE News app and the RTE Sport website as well. Thanks very much, Eric.